Hello everyone, it's Sloth here, and today we finally have bans for standard, and this is the best news we had in years. They will blow your mind. Alright guys, we are going live reaction basically because I want you to know the good news as soon as possible so it makes your day. We'll talk through all the changes, but first you need to prepare for happiness in your magic life. The bans are all of those. Cory Steelcutter, banned. Abuelo's Awakening, banned. Monstrous Rage, hell yeah, banned. Please ban it twice. Hearthfire Hero on top of this also banned. Up the Beanstalk, Hopeless Nightmare, This Town Ain't Big Enough. All of those cards are finally banned, and we have explanation for each one of those. And you know what, this seems to be the best part of the announcement, but when we talk about the reasoning, I have so much more to say. I think you will like the reasoning as well. So we finally, guys, this actually will save standard, I think. We will have completely new meta. All of the decks basically got kinda destroyed, and now we will find new cool decks. So this is like a wipe, man. If you ever played any game that gets, weekly wipes, well, this is your yearly wipe, and we start from scratch with this one. Alright, so let's read, and I will tell you what I think about the whole thing later in the end. So standard. Today's announcement is our once a year early rotation window for standard. Our goal with this window is to set the next rotation cycle to be as fun as possible. Man, this is such a good word to use. We do this by saying an early goodbye to a number of cards that have proven their strength and made the format less fun, either by creating unhealthy play patterns, have you heard this one on the videos on this channel, or by restricting the viable deck building options available in the environment. Below we'll discuss these bans and our reasoning. Yep. We are announcing the banning of 7 cards in standard today. 7 is a lot of cards, even for our early rotation window. I mean, yes, because last time we did not have 7 cards, and especially so since it has been over 2 years since any cards at all were banned in standard. So how did we get there? Oh, the way was long. Our last banned and restricted was roughly 3 months ago, shortly after release of Either Reef. At that time, standard was looking fun and healthy. Alright, you know what, today I will let it slide, but not really. There were 3 decks clearly at the top of the metagame. Red-based aggressive mouse strategies, self-bound synergy decks with Pixie, and Domain Overlord. But to be fair, on tournaments there was way more diversity than now, obviously, because now we have only Izzet and Mono-Red, so it was in a way more, versatile than now, but we still had insane red decks. Anyway, the release of Dragonstorm had a dramatic effect on standard metagame, propelling Izzet Pros to the top of the metagame on the wings of Cory Steelcutter. Indeed, that card was ridiculous from the start, basically. Everyone was calling it. It was, and we were as well. It was the deck to beat at the recent round of standard, 40% metagame, basically at Pro Tour. You've seen this one if you watched the other video. It's clear that Izzet Pro's deck is having a negative impact on standard metagame. I love this reasoning. Already. Its play rate numbers are substantially higher than what we have seen in standard in the recent past. This was what I was talking about in the ban, Pro Tour video, that it's kind of unprecedented to have this kind of domination. And beyond just play numbers though, the degree to which the deck is warping, this word, warping, this was on my mind every time I talked about it. The rest of the metagame around it is crystal clear. That's such a good thing to read from Wizards, because the warping of the format is like one of the main things you consider when, talk about bans and make bans. Because the whole standard is built basically around mono-red aggro. Every deck is like, whenever you start deck building, it's like, all right, let's put removal for red, let's put more removal to red, let's get some life gain. All right, what's the deck? This kind of stuff. So that's what this warping basically means. And of course, on tournaments, it's even more advanced there. One easy example is mono red. which reinvented itself for an Izzet prowess by adopting a large number of main deck copies of Lizard. Yeah, we have seen this edition. Let's go further. Cory Steelcutter is the obvious target from Izzet prowess deck for banning. It is quite simply too strong for the format. Absolutely agree. Every time I talk about this card, it's just too good, man. It just does everything so well. A card that's a little bit stronger than everything else. Exactly. That's such a good way to put it, basically. In addition to quickly rising to the top of the standard metagame, Cory also had a large impact on Modern. No idea, but yep, I heard. A format considerably more powerful than standard. This is exactly what we were saying in the last video, that those formats should be more powerful than standard, and if they're using the same cards, there's something there. It also has the quality of being a challenging card to interact with profitability due to the increased burden of answering artifact cards. Yeah, exactly. So basically what they are saying is that you need to instantly have like Terra Sander or something that kills artifact, like a Braid, and even then, it's not like you are super ahead. They played Cory, they played another spell, they already have a creature, and you kill Cory. You are actually still behind. So that's what this is what they mean, basically. Leaving meaningful board presence, this token, the Monk token, behind even when quickly destroyed. That's a huge problem because this is on cast trigger, which means that even if you answer it the moment you can, they still can cast something, because unless you play counter spells, this enters the board and then they can cast second spell and get the token. This combination of sheer strength and resilience has let Cory Steelcutter run rampant on standard. Absolutely. And that's the best case scenario. You are behind on the best case scenario. If it remains unchecked, you just get run over. At this point, it's clear the tools to challenge this card's dominance don't exist in the environment. Yep, it's banned. Absolutely. I will tell you in the in the end my predictions for the bans, and this was my second prediction, but we'll talk about it more because I wasn't sure about this one. For the sake of clarity and setting expectations going forward, the banning is the kind of action we would take in any of our banning windows. That's so good to hear. Like, not only the bans are really good, but also it shows you the line of thinking that I absolutely love to see from Wizards. So this is like a win-win so far. The level of dominance of Izzet prowess in the recent standard metagame clearly meets our thresholds for bans. I mean, if basically every deck is red aggro, I mean, yep, that probably qualifies. The release reshaped the landscape of standard. It's very challenging to predict what will happen to the metagame after its banning, but we have concerns that the format may drift back to the format as it existed previously. To make sure the next standard metagame is diverse and has room for exploration, we're banning 6 additional cards. And this is something I absolutely like about this announcement, because yes, I was mentioning in the video when we talked about Pro Tour, in my opinion there are more than one problems with Mono Red, and they have more than one card that is simply too powerful, and it seems that Wizards kinda agree with this, and I'm really happy to see it, because that's the case. Like, that means that we are looking more hopefully in the future. This is a very good reasoning. And it's true that I also am not sure what will happen after it, but this is something that has to be done. And I mean, we can rediscover standard now. Like, there will be so many new decks. Man, I wish this happened before Pro Tour, so we would already have all the new best decks. But you know what? That's good. Now we can experiment. The second most popular deck at Pro Tour, Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy, was the Azorius Omniscience combo deck, with about 20% share of the metagame. The Omniscience deck has existed as a part of the metagame for a while, but climbed in popularity to be a major player after gaining new cards in Rolling Dragonstorm, that was the recent upgrade, and Marang River region. They actually work surprisingly nicely, because this gets back when you play Marang. So you can basically get extra card advantage to find your, the battle that wins the game. With release of Darkish Dragonstorm, something. Abuel's Awakening. This video won't be perfect, but I want to give you everything as soon as possible. Abuel's Awakening always had the potential to create a deck like this, as 4 mana is cheaper than we normally allow reanimation for non-creatures to be. Usually I think it's like 5 mana. But we had hoped that turning what it brings back into a creature, it's basically always 1-1, would allow ample counterplay. And that was something I originally also thought, months ago when I wasn't playing against this deck every second game. And it actually is way more resilient than you think for a combo deck. That has not proven to be the case for Omniscience. Combo decks like this are something we want to exist in Standard, but when too strong, they warp the format around them and reduce the number of viable decks. Basically, you have Exile for your graveyard, or you lose the game on turn 4. So that's obviously not the most fun way to deck build. This version has proved too powerful and consistent. For these reasons, Abuela's Awakening is banned. I fully agree with this, and I'm actually happy because I honestly didn't expect this ban. I didn't think anything big will happen to Omniscience decks, and I'm happy to not see this. This deck is not fun to play against, and guys, I've been playing with this deck, and it was mind-blowing. I had 70% win rate with this deck across every league. This is ridiculous how resistant this deck was, even against control decks. You can also outplay control decks, you can defend against aggro. This deck was a powerhouse. Monstrous Rage has been powering red aggressive decks in Standard since its release in Wilds of Eldraine. It is one of the strongest and most efficient combat tricks to have ever been printed. I mean... Yep, we've enjoyed having a combat trick be a strong Standard card, but it's clear that Monstrous Rage has overstayed its welcome. Yep, by 100 years. It has enabled combo-style aggro decks more than would like to, and has played a large role in lowering the fundamental turn in Standard and putting players under too much pressure too quickly. That's true. This is what you get basically by being on the draw. They kind of mean it, also on being on the draw when the game doesn't even start and you are already under so much pressure. Heartfire Hero, even in Monstrous Rage, is so much damage. You already lost half of your life basically, and the game did not even start. And it gets worse by every single turn, so you are pressured to instantly draw something. In addition, the fact that it grants trample has decreased the utility of blocking in the format and greatly eroded the efficacy of defensive creatures as a counter strategy to aggressive decks. Absolutely, it kinda breaks the whole curve, because the idea is that aggro has 1 and 2 drops, but you can defend with 3 and 4 drops. They will be stronger, so if you can survive, you will generally have more value. This completely crumbles when their 1 drops just rolls over, steamrolls your 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, 5 drop, 6 drop, 7 drop, 8 drop, and 9 drop. I've been losing 9 drops to this 1 mana mouse. So yeah, absolutely fully agree on this one. For these reasons, and in the interest of eliminating the least fun aggressive play pattern in Standard, Monstrous Rage is banned. Man, we need we need fireworks for this one. And I've seen some discussions in the last days that Monstrous Rage is not a problem. I completely disagreed. I said it in the video, this card needs to go. It's not only incredibly strong, but it completely invalidates part of the game that I actually really like, blocking and trading, into bigger creatures basically. So absolutely. I think Monstrous Rage was the one ban there were some discussions, alright? You've probably seen them, but I think that Monstrous Rage was one of the most agreed card that it has to go. It was this, Cory, those two, mostly. Those were the most agreed. Alright, let's go further into my personal favorite. Heartfire Hero has been another key piece of red aggressive deck strength throughout the last year of Standard. The curve of Heartfire Hero into Manifold Mouse puts the opponent under pressure immediately and forces deck to have ample interactions for the early turn. Absolutely, this opening, every time it happened in the video, I said this is their best opening on the play. This gives 4 damage on turn 2 already, so they actually don't lose any damage, and they already have a double striker with a 2/2 that grows into a 3/3. The pressure, if you don't answer it immediately, is basically game deciding. You need very often a cut down to just survive this opening, and we'll get to the next part because there is more. Additionally, Heartfire Hero dies. Death Trigger gives the red deck significant resiliency to many kinds of removal. This is exactly what we were saying on the channel. Basically, if you remove it, after, you know, it hit once or twice, you are so low that you still lose, even though you had the perfect answer, because you are supposed to have removal against aggro decks. And, you know, they basically get it a triple strike in a way with Manifold Mouse. So that's the big problem. And that's why you have seen everyone play Exile removal like Anoint with Affliction, you know, and stuff like this, just to not get this death trigger. So that was taking the card over the line completely. Its strength has shifted the format to our decks that can interact starting on turn 1 or 2, or decks that can leverage temporal lockdown as powerful counterplay. Exactly. This also exiles, which means that you don't get hit by death trigger, so obviously you need to have insanely quick interaction or you are just dead. We want red aggressive strategies to be viable option in standard, but Hellfire Hero has proven to have too much explosive power combined with too much resiliency. As such, it is banned. And this is the ban that I personally wanted to see. I didn't see too much discussions on this one, and it was just Monstrous Rage Cory, but I personally think this card is insane. Since it was printed, it felt like so over the top compared to the other one drops. I'm really happy to see this, and I personally think this is decision that was super needed. Cory, Monstrous Rage is just not enough. Heartfire Hero with Manifold Mouse is absolutely devastating combo. So for me, the only question was which one has to go. But I'm super happy to see Wizards go on, not only on Monstrous Rage, but also on the Heartfire Hero. That gives me like a lot of confidence that this is a good decision making. All right, where did we stop? And this resilience, this is the problem that, you know, when it dies, it still hits you, and that hit usually is very close to game ending, because you are so low, you are at 10, you kill a 5 power mouse, you are at 5. This is a burn range for any random stuff from the top. So that took it over the line. We discussed banning only Heartfire Hero and Monstrous Rage, but ultimately decided that banning both was the correct course of action. The two cards are both independently strong, and leaving Aether alone would make it likely that aggressive decks in the format would still be a combo style aggro decks with consistent explosive starts and a lot of burst damage potential. Yeah, this combination is insane, because you start by being ahead, basically, and dishing tons of damage on creatures that grows, basically for free, and then it still gives like 20 damage burst in next turn. So it's just all around insanely powerful. By banning both, we shift the aggressive strategies of the format away from combo style aggro, decrease the interactional burden on the non-aggressive decks in the format, and thus increasing the number of viable cards and decks. Basically, what this means is that maybe you don't need to draw Cut Down on turn 1 to even survive and play the game. Red decks will still be here. They have a lot of upsides, especially for best of 1, and I'm kinda excited to see what the new version of Mono Red will be, but it won't be as devastating as this one, so or at least I hope so, alright? But this definitely lowers the pressure you are getting by playing against, you know, red decks, and it will give you time to draw your cards, draw your answers, and actually have a cool game. So I'm super excited for this one. Let's go next. Up the Beanstalk is no stranger to the ban list, man. Everything we talked about. Having been banned in Modern since 2023. At this point, Up the Beanstalk has been clearly cemented as the best-in-class source of card advantage for slower decks. It shares Cory Steelcutter's quality of being challenging to interact with profitably, as its controller will almost always be up a full card on the exchange. This is what we are saying on the channel every time I get lost Up the Beanstalk and I said, I'm still behind. Even after answering it perfectly. This card that they draw instantly after playing Up the Beanstalk is like the real problem, because it's no investment then. It's just 2 mana and 0 cards investment, and it potentially can draw you 5 to 10 cards. This means decks powered by Up the Beanstalk are hard for many types of strategies to adapt to, which effectively eliminates them from the metagame, where, you know, the decks with Up the Beanstalk are popular. The deck building puzzle of Up the Beanstalk has also been solved so many times at this point that we expect it to be more monotonous than engaging, as more cost reduction cards may get released in future sets. We've even felt some of these pains while developing cards and mechanics that have yet to be released. For these reasons, Up the Beanstalk is banned. Another great ban in my opinion, because when aggro decks will be weaker because obviously they lose a lot of powerful cards. There was a solid chance Up the Beanstalk deck would be like the go-to because it just outvalues everything. So I think this is a really good decision. Card is simply incredibly strong, so it opens more possibilities when you don't have it, and finally you need to work for your card advantage. And I really like the reasoning that was given here, the deck building puzzle, because the cost of Up the Beanstalk giving you all those cards is basically that you play something that costs 5 mana and gets discounted to 2 mana, so you have 2-drop that also draws you cards. You are kinda cheating the value, right? The interaction. It's like Reanimator, you have huge creature, but you don't pay it for it. So that's the puzzle you need to break. But it's so easy, like you just play Leyline, play Right Sand. At this point it's not like, wow, what a cool strategy. It's more like, yeah, I know, we've all seen it. So I like this reasoning because generally I get the idea that it was supposed to be a cool payoff for this type of strategies, but it was just so, crushed to the ground that everyone just knows what to play with this card, and it's just, exactly monotonous, more than engaging. So I liked it, and basically every future card needed to be designed knowing it will be used with Up the Beanstalk and will create some monsters. I think this is also a good decision for the next sets, because for Wizards it was also for sure a pain to make cards that will be broken with Up the Beanstalk. So the self-bounce decks have shifted a lot as the format has progressed, with just a small powerful core constant between the interactions. Hopeless Nightmare is a key piece of that core, serving the role of a 1-mana trinket that is powerful to cast many times in a game. The pattern of constant discarded forces on the opponent is among the least fun elements of the deck, and shrinks the game in a way that makes it hard to come back once the bounce deck gets going. I really love this explanation, and this is in line with the rest, because there you can see there are a lot of words like fun, interesting, engaging, this kind of stuff, and that is a very good direction, because in the end we are playing a game and it needs to be fun, it needs to be interesting. Obviously there's always one annoying deck, it's always like this, but at least you need to play some game against it. So I honestly was not, I didn't even think that Hopeless Nightmare or the this town will get bounced, to be honest. I'll be direct about it. I did not have my hopes up for this, but I think this is a good decision, because this is basically in a way an aggro deck that also has a lot of interaction. Everything is 1 and 2 drops, and if you play anything more expensive, you probably will have to discard it. If we played some 5 and 6 drops, and in the end I'm just, I will discard it. We won't get to 6 mana because you need removal, you need lands, and you need, something to win the game, and it's very hard to get so many cards when they keep hitting you with triple Hopeless Nightmare. And this is exactly what, Wizards are saying, that this pattern is just unfun, and I've seen a lot of comments from you guys that you just don't like playing against this deck because you cannot do anything, you have to discard every card you have and you are excited for. So, and the cost is very low, while also pushing a ton of damage. I think the fact that Hopeless Nightmare also deals damage is one of the reasons it's so hard to play against it, because when you finally stabilize, you are at 10 and you are about to die. So suddenly you need to basically race before they finish you off. In addition, this card, Hopeless Sniper, provides the self-bounce decks with both both interaction and damage, allowing deck to position itself as a disruptive aggressor. It's basically an aggro deck. It deals tons of damage while also playing like a controller a little bit, because they remove stuff, interact with your hand, and you can even counter some spells or bounce something. So in the interest of removing the least fun elements of self-bounce decks, Hopeless Nightmare is banned. I really like this decision personally. I didn't expect it, but I will welcome it. And if you don't remember, we had bounce decks that were interesting and fun, like even Yorion, everyone's favorite. And maybe with this we will see bounce decks, but more expensive, with less 1-drops and more interesting game plan and effects. So there are a ton of 3-drops that have nice blink effects. So this town ain't big enough has seen play in many different standard decks. It almost always sees play along the Stormchaser's talent, a 2-card package that has proven itself in variety of shells. It's just auto-include basically, and Hopeless Nightmare usually as well. Most recently, this package played a role in the Is It Prowess deck, but before that, it was a key player in versions of the self-bounce synergy decks that incorporated blue. When commonplace, this town makes the format less fun through its unique ability to interact with any permanent-based strategy while still advancing the game plan. Yeah, so basically what they are saying is that this town answers every type of permanent, like literally anything creature, enchantment, artifact, you drop the forge that just bounce it, and everything happens at the end step, so basically your last turn was invalidated, while at the same time getting value back because they got their stuff back and they can replay it. So basically they still get ahead while you are sitting in place with less and less cards and with less and less life total. So I like this explanation, it makes perfect sense. While not a huge share of its overall power, the loop with talent is particularly frustrating and adds the threat of an endgame lookout to many matchups, making games less fun. Love this reasoning. This deck is not something I was like, oh my god, it needs to be banned, but we probably can all enjoy games a little bit more if you don't see this one, So I'm happy with this decision. For these reasons, this town ain't big enough as banned, and this was one of the candidates for the previous session of bans. It didn't happen, but it was a card we talked about. It's been a little over 2 years since we announced the shift to 3-year standard. With every set we release, we learn more about how to adapt our design heuristic to this new model for standard. The set of bans is emblematic of 2 key learnings we'll be carrying forward into the future. So basically, we talk about the lessons learned about printing Monstrous Rage. First, with the larger card pool of 3-year standard, we need to be more precise with our 1 mana cards and our cards that synergizes with 1 mana cards. 3 of the cards banned today cost 1 mana, and Cory Steelcutter asked to be played alongside the cheapest cards available. Basically, it's like a 3-drop. This is 2 mana, and you pair it with 1-drop. You get a 2/2 and a 1 mana spell. So on the first turn, it's okay because you spend 2 mana to get a 2/2. And on every single next turn, it gets you ahead. So that's why, it's super great with 1-drops, basically. You need to trigger it immediately for the full value. The potential of 1 mana cards to define a format grows as the card pool increases, and we've learned that going to 3-year standard is a larger step in that direction than we had first believed. I fully agree. I didn't really talk about 3-year standard, but, this might be, topic for another video, but I will tell you what you should expect from 3-year standard. You will have more cards for the same slots, so the overall power will, increase. Even with bans, even whatever happens, the standard power with 3 years will be higher than 2 years, and that's something that usually ends in fastest cards possible, because if you can have 2-drop that finishes the game, you don't go higher, because why do you need 4-drop if your 2-drop did the thing? So that's why generally I fully agree with what they mentioned here, and it will be hard challenge. It's honestly very hard to balance those things, so we will be looking forward to the next cards. But basically, if you have a lot of 1 and 2 drops that are good enough to play the whole game out of them, you don't need 3-drop anymore, so it will be hard, and generally 1 and 2 drops are hard to balance because either they are too weak and nobody is using them, or they are too strong and they dominate the game. So this is an interesting one. Love to see Wizards just talking about this stuff and giving the understanding that this will be a challenge. It will be hard, but I'm looking hopeful, especially after today explanations. Okay, when did we stop? I lost track. I got a little bit too excited. Standard is more fun when the stars of games often cost more than 1 or even 2 mana, and we'll be taking steps to ensure that this is true more often going forward. Absolutely love the senses. This is exactly what I felt with 1 and 2 drops just completely dominating, and we laughed a lot on the channel about this one, the full deck of 1 and 2 drops, that's super strong usually. So it's nice to see that they want to encourage more expensive cards and slower gameplay. Basically, they're saying that we will maybe have a little bit slower standard, so we can play 3, 4, and 5 drops, which would be amazing because we have so many, ones that are very cool right now, even, with Final Fantasy, but also with all the future cards. So second, we need to scrutinize and be careful with the rate of cards that are challenging to interact with favorably. With the increased, power level of the decks in larger format, that is 3-year standard, decks are very capable of turning small advantage into a snowball that ends the game. That's a very good point, and I'll be honest, Hopeless Nightmare kinda surprised me because it started like just one card, you play either this or Tiny Bones or Duress, whatever, and it turned into a monster that moment you sit, like that the game will be insanely, harsh to go through. Strong cards that leave resources behind when dealt with, like Cory, Up the Beanstalk, reliably create that first small advantage. Identifying these cards and evaluating the strength in the context of their interactional requirement is a task that play design is incorporating into our process going forward. This will be interesting to see how they deal with this. It's not easy. It's honestly very hard to spot which card is a little bit too good. Like Hopeless Nightmare is a great example of this. Such a small card, at reveals, nobody would say, wow, this card is insane, it will dominate. But it kinda did in a way. So, not as much as Monorail, of course, like we are talking about one level lower. Alright. So we have other formats, I won't be talking about them, this video is probably already way too long, but I really wanted to talk with you guys about all of this, and I'll tell you my opinion. I'm super excited about those changes. I'm actually a little bit surprised positively because I did not expect such powerful bans, and I think they are needed. I think this was a good decision, and I think that this will actually make Standard incredibly more fun to play. And we are basically entering a discovery phase. Like now, we need to find the new best decks, and everything, might have a chance. So this is like a brewer's dream in a way, and I love the reasoning of, this is supposed to be more fun this way. This is something I was talking in the last ban video when we were talking about Monsters Rage. There are two things to consider. First, if the card is too good, but second, also if the card makes the game better and more fun for everyone. Because I'll be honest, whenever I lose to a green huge creature with 20/20 trample, I'm smiling and alright, this guy had his fun, let's see the big damage. And I enjoy losing those. If I'm on the draw against Monored, it's just not fun because I didn't really play the game. I didn't have any decisions to change the outcome. It's just a little bit frustrating to play like this. So I love to see Wizards acknowledging this and trying to make game as fun as possible, while also of course keeping it balanced. It's not easy thing, especially with 3 years of card pool. So we will see how it goes, but this is a really good sign. And honestly, I'm really excited for this one. I cannot, guys, I didn't do any research. I didn't, check what everyone else is saying. I just wanted to give you a raw, straight reaction and tell me in the comments. I want to know what you guys think. I've seen some of the comments on the video that we released today, but I just want to hear everything you guys think. So basically, I will tell you my predictions. I thought that Monsters Rage will be banned, and I was considering that if we are lucky, maybe we get Cory on top of this. And I wasn't even sure if we get two, and I have seen that maybe they would go for Cory and leave Monsters Rage. I didn't like this, but with all the discussions, this was a possibility. I honestly didn't expect much. Maybe Omniscience, because deck is incredibly annoying and super powerful, but nothing more than this. So seeing all of this is actually really motivating and makes me look more hopefully into the future. I think this is really not only good set of decisions, but also a great sign for the future of Standard, that they are trying to shift the game into more fun, more versatile, and with more deck building possible. Because the problem with those cards that were banned is that basically you needed to play against them or you couldn't make a deck. Every deck starts with 8 removal pieces, and that we were playing 4 Duresses because that either you play a non-aggro deck, in which case Duress is great, or you play mono red, in which case you will hit their pump spells. So it was a defensive card against aggro, so you could just, smash 4 off. This is probably not the most important part, but I wanted to give you some context how you deck build with basically those decks in your mind. And basically we got cut from all the sides. Aggro, Azorius combo control, so Omniscience, and also all the Beanstalk decks that are known for insane card advantage and that you basically need to play Jace to mill them because you are not outvaluing them. This opens basically every archetype in a way, because, we will see more aggro decks, and don't get me wrong, there are a lot of great cards for aggro, so I'm sure we will see a new one, and I'm actually excited to see how it will look like. I hope it will be way weaker than what we had, but it will be fun. It will be fun. I'm actually excited because we finally get to play all the new cards, maybe. Alright guys, I just realized that it's been over half an hour. I thought it's like 15 minutes, but I got so excited about talking about all of this that it just went through. I will scroll so you see all the other formats. I won't be talking about them as I'm not playing them, and there's for sure someone that plays that, can get better commentary. But I think for standard, I think we are all happy with the bans, and it shows that when something goes as wrong as Pro Tour and all the red aggro cards, there will be action, and that's something that is absolutely amazing to see. So big props to Wizards for making some bold decisions, and now we have all the magic at our disposal. We can make all the decks. Alright, so I don't want to make it longer. Guys, if you enjoyed this type of commentary, please do subscribe and like the video, share it so, we can make more in the future. I love talking about stuff like this and some good news. And I cannot wait to see everyone else's reaction. I hope you guys are enjoying them as well. And see you in the comments. And hopefully you will see this video as soon as possible. So we are a Sloth news channel right now. And I know the video wasn't perfect, but I really wanted to just give, on one take and give you all the information and just whole commentary. So you know what's up, your bro Sloth has your back. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you guys tomorrow.